Hey everyone, this is Katie Soderberg from eOne Solutions. Really excited to welcome you to the Q2 2025 Partner All Hands call. We've got a full agenda today, so as we go through the presentation, we're happy to answer questions. We've got the right crew logged in to help answer comments, questions you have as we go through. In GoToWebinar, you'll find a place to raise your hand, ask a question, or click the chat, and we're ready to address as many of those as we go through. And then also towards the end of the presentation, we'll circle back and answer a few more. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. We've got a full agenda here today. First, we're going to talk about some of the changes here at eOne. We're really focused on growth for you as a partner and your opportunity when it comes to connecting different systems, reporting off of them, migrating between them. And so we want to talk about the expansion of eOne with the acquisition of DataBlend. Martin and co-founder Ethan Carlson from the DataBlend team is going to join us here today. After that, we're jumping into a few programs we have. One is specifically around how we want to reward salespeople for bringing certain types of opportunities and closing business with eOne going into the second half of the year. Then we'll dive into some product updates. So we've got a lot of exciting things that we're working on, and we're going to give you an early look at a few features and then also talk about a few things that have updated as of last weekend that you have access to. And then finally, we'll wrap up with some events coming up and opportunities for you to dive deeper. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Martin Olson, and he's going to share a little bit about the recent acquisition.
Thank you, Katie. And we'll keep it brief, guys, but this is exciting stuff for eOne. 23, 24 years into our journey, and we'd never made an acquisition. We've grown organically, and we've continued to build product and grow organically. But what we've seen with our GP partners and our GP customers is that more and more we're moving to alternate solutions. So some are going to BC, we've built for that and we've got solutions. Some are moving to NetSuite, we've built for that and we've got solutions. Some are moving to Acumatica, we've kind of got a solution, and we're comfortable that we have a solution for those people. When it came to Sage, it was a whole new ecosystem, and we thought long and hard about building it. But then we were fortunate to meet Ethan and David at DataBlend, and we realized that DataBlend was the incumbent integration solution for Sage Intacct. Much like eOne has been in the GP space and then the BC space. And so there was little point us building for that ecosystem and then going up against DataBlend as a competitor. It would have taken us multiple years to get there. So wanting to provide a solution for you as our partners to say, hey, we've got a customer that's going to Intacct. What's the solution? Can they stick with eOne? And we want to provide a way that they can absolutely do that. So we got involved, and after a few months negotiations, a cocktail or two, we were able to do a deal, and we're really excited to have David and Ethan and the entire extended DataBlend team, 30 new humans that have joined the eOne family. And over the last 2 months, we've got to know them more and more, met many of the team, and I think it was a really smart move. We've got a really good team. So what that means for you is, even if you're a partner out there that says, hey, I don't do anything with Sage Intacct, it's not relevant to me. What it's meant for eOne is we're now even more committed to the mid-market integration space than we ever have been. We've got double the size of our development team. They are now sharing ideas. They are having an arms race to see who can be the first to get to AI, the first to come up with the coolest solution. So we've now got more smart heads really working to come up with solutions that will fit into both products across the mid-market. We're going to slide Popdock across both of those as well. So all that technology and innovation, a lot of what you'll see later today will fit across both of those products. So it is only a win-win for every one of our partners and a win-win for all of our customers. We're excited by it, and I hope you'll see and notice the difference over the next 6 to 12 months of what we can produce as a joint team. So we'll do it really quick. I want to introduce you to Ethan today. I'll give him 2 or 3 minutes to quickly introduce you to the DataBlend company, where they came from and what they've built and what they bring to the table. So let me throw over to Ethan.
Awesome. Thank you, Martin. And we're all thrilled to be here from the DataBlend team. And I think that Martin summed it up really well. When we've had a lot of growth, and we've been focused in a very similar space. Mid-market integration. iPaaS services. Obviously our core market has been around the Sage Intacct ecosystem, but we do a lot more. But when we met up with eOne, it was an instant fit, in that our goals, our focus, and our commitment to our partners and our customers was really well aligned. So I think that from our perspective, a little bit about DataBlend. We are a mid-market iPaaS solution. We've been around for not as long as eOne, but I think about 9 years in the space totally, but really about 4 years focused in our current motion. We tend to focus on all things for the finance team. So integrations that deal in order to cash, accounting transactions, reconciliations, close process, payroll postings, really the hard stuff of the accounting integration platform. We've focused on having an application that's really strong in that space. And there are a lot of similarities in between what SmartConnect has been doing in the space that it serves and DataBlend. And I would encourage you as partners to kind of come and learn a little bit more about DataBlend, because we do, there are areas where we're a great fit as an extension, whether it be into the GL systems and ERPs that we connect with, or endpoints, or some of our approaches. We do a lot more around data storage, data lakes, complex querying, again, all of it focused on enabling the end user to build integrations, from a click, not code perspective. What that means, we have over 1,000 customers. We tend to target in that finance space. We are SOC 2 Type 2 certified, so we have put a lot of focus on being a platform that our customers can trust. Integrate with quite a number of systems, well over 100, again, with the finance applications being a core. And we're a fast-growing platform. I think one of the things we're focused as a partner of eOne now, looking at DataBlend, I think we have over 35 partners and another 20 outsourcing providers, and are partnered with 7 publishing platforms. So that, our main one being Sage Intacct. So, what that would say is, we're also a partner enabled model, meaning we're looking to drive business through our channel. So as partners of eOne, the DataBlend team now is just an extension of that. So there are a number of crossovers already. We'd welcome that conversation to see if what we're doing is something that helps you drive your business and really make your customers successful. Our goals are to help our partners win more deals, our publishing partners be in deals, that we can enable them and really delight our customers and deliver automation to help them focus on higher value tasks. I've mentioned we're, at a core, I think the first area, if you are a partner that crosses over into the Sage ecosystem, that is our sweet spot. But we do connect with over 100 different finance and accounting applications. So, up on the slide here, you've got a number of things we do really well on the ERP side, as well as, CRM, payroll, reporting, planning, e-commerce, payments, all the things that are really financial oriented. And we've really focused, and our approach has been that our connections, both source and targets, we really look to provide a deep integration across a customer or vendor's API, meaning we're not just connecting to one endpoint. If they're up on this slide, we're striving to, as close to 100% of what's possible as is reasonable. This is something we're continuing to add to. If anything jumps off the page, again, we're here to be an extension of the eOne partner community and really look to augment what you're already doing. So we're already, now I don't have Popdock on this slide, but Popdock and DataBlend work very well together already, only not even 2 months post-acquisition. And there's some interesting use cases for that. And, we're very excited to be here and learn more about the broader partner community here. So with that, I'll pass it back to you, Martin.
Yeah, thank you, Ethan. That's fantastic. So really options. All of our partners now have an option. You can work with either team. You can work with your existing account manager, and they can talk to you about and connect you with alternate solutions that may fit. And there's some things that, even in places where we overlap with DataBlend, there may be good reasons why that's a good solution. There'll be good reasons why SmartConnect's a good solution, and we'll pull those together and help you out. So more offering, more solutions, more options, better experience for your customers as we develop together. So exciting. Okay, I want to introduce you to as step two, a new eOne employee. Many of you that have come from the Great Plains background will know Mr. Polino very, very well. I've worked in and around and near and known Mark for, it's got to be 20 years. I first met Mark and I disliked him quite a lot because we'd be presenting sessions back in the Worldwide Partner Conference and Convergence days. And we'd get a speaking hall at those events, and I dreaded getting the one next to Mark because he always had his audience making a lot of noise and laughing and getting heavily involved in the session that would come through the door and interrupt the one I was presenting. So the opportunity came up a few months back, and Mark reached out to us and said, hey, he was looking for a new role in a new position, and we'd been a friend of eOne for a very long time. So we're excited to bring Mark onto the team, one, for his deep GP knowledge to help all of our existing customers, but also his experience outside of that in other ecosystems. So let me throw to Mark. He's going to give a really quick introduction and tell you a little bit about what he's here for and how he's going to be helping eOne, which means helping our partners. I thought.
Hi, everyone. As Martin said, thanks, Martin. Hi, everyone. I'm Mark. I spent about 10 years as an MVP in the GP space. And before coming to eOne, I spent almost 10 years working for FastPath, again, in GP, NetSuite, Sage Intacct, F&O, sort of all around the mid-market, doing things with FastPath. And after their acquisition by Delinea, it became pretty clear that it was time for something new. And eOne was at the top of my list of companies that I've wanted to work for. I've been a customer, a partner, and an ISV. And I really appreciate the way that Martin and the eOne team have built a really nice culture. I appreciate the way that they really want to help customers and help partners and work with partners. And it was really just a place that I wanted to land. It was at the top of my list. So here at eOne, I get to play with the pre-sales team and do everything we can to make demos and the customer and partner experience as good as we possibly can as we go forward. Martin,
that's awesome. Thanks, Mark.
All you.
I'm really glad to have you on board. Okay, let's jump to the next slide there, and we'll keep pushing along. So at this point, we're going to throw to Katie, and this is really around, at the heart of what everybody does here. While we love our customers, we love our partners, we all deep down do this for money. I don't think anybody of us would just do this for pure fun. If it didn't fund our kids through college and our mortgages and the life we live. So we know that at eOne, we know our partners get it, and we give a good margin to our partners. But oftentimes, the dollar value of eOne products is not making anybody rich. It's helping you sell more deals. And so we wanted to put something in place for the back half of 2025 for the sales team. So for your sellers that are out there, and to encourage them and to reward them for the effort they put in to promoting eOne products to your customer base, for which we're wildly thankful. So let me throw to Katie, who's going to talk us through this program nice and quickly. Now, you can obviously follow up with your partner development managers to learn more about this, but Katie will run us through it.
Awesome. Yeah, so we're excited to introduce this program, which starts July 1st. the eOne Premium Rewards Program. And like Martin said, we are looking to reward your sellers. And so, you know, with the plans we offer, we certainly offer kind of our beginner levels of our SmartConnect and Popdock plans. And then as you increase to move to the next levels up with the business plan and the premium plan, you get more functionality, you get more value. And we also include some of our more robust features to handle things like performance or more volume of data. And sometimes we also have, especially in the case of SmartConnect, we have some premium connectors as well. In a lot of cases of integration and migration scenarios especially, it's a great plan for that customer to have both solutions, have SmartConnect and Popdock. They need to move the data with SmartConnect and make sure it's in the right format in the next system. They also need to show the data and display it real time. And there's lots of good requirements that both of those solutions cover together. So what we're introducing here is a rewards program for the sellers at our partners to earn rewards every time they sell a SmartConnect or premium, SmartConnect or Popdock premium plans or higher level plan. Or one of our iPaaS plans, which bundles both SmartConnect and Popdock together, and it actually gives the customer a bundled discount in those iPaaS plans. So really, it's pretty simple to be able to take advantage of this. The seller would just need to let eOne know, either by emailing sales@eonesolutions.com or by reaching out to their partner development manager, their main point of contact at eOne, before purchasing that product for their customer. And then after the sale closes, then we will send you your rewards. So we're running this program through OnGoody. Goody is what the company's called, but ongoody.com. And so basically, the seller will get to choose their reward. And really, it's pretty simple. You know, all we use is the email address to input that into this platform. It's SOC 2 compliant. And then the seller would say, okay, this is the address where I want to ship my reward to. It supports over 140 countries is what they support shipping to, but you can choose from a variety of rewards. So there's gift cards in there if you want to donate to your favorite nonprofit, or maybe you have an upcoming vacation and want to acquire some Delta or other airline gift cards, or we're not selling any puppies here, but you know, a special collar maybe for your dog. You could choose what you want, and we're happy to reward all of our sellers in the channel who are selling our higher plans. So again, connect with your partner development manager to learn more. We would be happy to go deeper with and go over some of the pricing plans with your team and help them understand how the customer is just covered at those higher plans for a number of scenarios and specific advantages to those higher plans. So that's what we have on the SPIFF Rewards program for you. Now with that, I want to turn it over to Chris Dew, and Chris Dew is going to cover, is going to start us out with some of the eOne roadmap functionality that we want to talk about today. Some of this is available now and some of this is coming soon, and he's going to give us a look at some of the new features, which is awesome. So Chris, I'm going to go ahead and change presenter rights over to you.
Okay, thank you, Katie. All right, I think we got the right screen now. Okay, so starting on the Popdock side of things, some really exciting things have been going on. A few things you've been waiting for a while, and some things that you maybe didn't know you needed that are coming down the pike. If I start with what we just released just over a month ago, but it's a pretty critical one. We had a new GP gateway go out, and some of the big stuff in there. Probably the biggest one on everyone's mind was that we added the capability for the document attach feature inside of GP to be done through a gateway.
So we got through all those complexities and fixes, and you can now use a gateway and you can access those document attach and download that file right from there. Another thing, right, it's just a few things in there, like there's some complex smart list builder lists that were able to be handled. There's some SQL tables across multiple companies, and then we added support for .NET. So just some of the newer versions of .NET with that gateway on your servers. So that is something, again, that's been out for a little while now, and we're excited that that's there. But I want to take you to the next area where there's some really cool things going on. And you might say, why are you talking about file connectors when we're in the Popdock space? Well, you'll see very soon, because I'm going to give you a quick little demo, but us adding FTP, Google Drive, SharePoint, Dropbox, all those things are OneDrive. Those are all really powerful things for allowing us to not only just work with lists of data, but also being able to access other information maybe that's sitting inside of one of those other repositories, as opposed to just always in a database or through an API. Okay, so let me switch over. Not a very good switch. Try that one more time. There you go. Okay. All right, here's where we're going to start with right now. What I'm going to start with, I'm showing you some Business Central data. Could be GP data. It doesn't really much matter where it's coming from. But what I'm going to start with is when I click on this record here, and you'll see over in this little sidebar, I have something now that says Dropbox. So what I'm going to show you is when I click on this, is I now have 4 files that are coming from my Dropbox location. Well, just to prove that this is actually something real, you'll see here are the 4 files. And so let's have a little bit of fun. Let's actually move a new file in there. So I'm going to do that live for you right now. We should have a new file that was sitting inside of there. And if we go back to this, and I'll just hit refresh on this page here. And now we actually see that brand new file that's at the end. Well, what's cooler than that though is that we can actually see the contents of it without it leaving. So if I click on this one, and I'll just make this a little bit bigger here, we can actually see that this is a PDF document, and I've cleverly titled it, this is a demo PDF document. You can see we get some of this functionality, right, that you would get inside of a PDF document. If I switch this one up, if I want to look at, an image file, right, I have access to that image file. If I do something like Excel, this is also interesting, right? This is basically opening in Microsoft's online version of Excel. And so it allows me to interact with it just like I would, and I can even pop it out, right? If I do this, now I'm in the full live version of Excel and can do whatever I need to do with that. So those are some pretty cool things right there. But here's what's really interesting. I can also, if I want, I could choose to download all of these at one time. So I could do it individually, right? I could say, hey, I want that PDF. It's going to download that for me. But I could choose to download them all at one time. And what it'll do is it'll basically make a zip file with all those files in, which is pretty cool, right? If you have a customer and you have a lot of, maybe information that's could be contracts to, diagrams, architectural diagrams, or, whatever it is that's particular to that customer, you could have that showing up. Or again, I think it's particularly interesting around projects as well, is that you can do some stuff like that. But I'm going to take this away from just standard files for a second, because I am showing you some Business Central information. I want to show you a cool new part of this that can be done as well. And so if I click on this customer, I can see they have some transactions. If I click on BC Files, what's interesting about this now is this is actually pulling all of the posted invoices for this particular customer from BC. But more importantly, I can start doing something interesting with it because I can click on that. Now, what did that do, right? This is a PDF of that invoice. This actually generated it using Business Central's engine. And so this is basically the same as if you had done this, printing it out inside of BC. You can now do it anywhere and allow, a greater group of people to have access to that information, which is pretty powerful. So instead of just files, this is actually kind of a virtual file, if you will, because it's generating it through Business Central's engine and displaying it for you and allowing you to download that as well. I want to show you one more thing with files, because I think this is pretty powerful, is that I have this set up right now as a favorite, but I can schedule this. Now, this is something that you maybe didn't know you were looking for, but in the past, right, with a scheduler, all we've been able to do is take the file in an Excel file or text file and send that out on a schedule as an email. But now basically any kind of connector you have set up, whether it be like Dropbox or data lakes or FTP, you can actually start sending that information there and then used in other systems like SmartConnect or DataBlend, as you heard Ethan talking about earlier, right? We can send that to repositories that they can do something with. So that's the power of this, is that now we can take those files and not only show them, but we can do something with them. Last thing I'll just point out again, we have right now 5 different file connectors that you'll be able to utilize, and the Google Drive one is in beta until we get a few more things done on the authentication side of things. Okay, let me go back to the PowerPoint slideshow for a second. I'm just going to quickly touch on this one. We have another new connector coming out called Teamwork. This is really around a lot of project tracking. And so if you have customers of yours that are using this and again, want some greater visibility into how things are going in there, we're basically going to allow you the capability of hooking into all that project information. So everything around the tasks, the budgets, time tracking, everything around that is something you can do. And again, you can now make that data available in other applications. So that could be right inside of an ERP system like Business Central or Intact or whatever it may be. It could also be inside of a CRM system like Salesforce or Microsoft. So excited about this connector. It's getting very, very close. And so I would expect in the next month or so that you have this new connector out. And again, if you have people utilizing this, it's going to be a really, really good connector. Okay, jumping into another really interesting area, but AI. One of the big things with AI is that it's invading everything, and I think sometimes sorting through that noise is what's critical. And what we've done is we've been very patient, I guess, with this, and made sure that we have something that presents some value to you as a partner and customer. So I think instead of just talking about all the things that it can do, I want to show you how you can use this. And we're launching, we did launch actually just last week. We launched 7 AI connectors. So Azure AI, Claude, DeepSeek, Gemini from Google, Perplexity, Mistral, and ChatGPT or OpenAI. So those are the ones. But I want to get you thinking, right? How can you actually use this in the real world? That's probably the bigger question. So I'm going to give you a couple scenarios and then get you thinking about a whole lot more. Okay, and again, there you go. I probably should have just shown this to you sooner, but there's all the connectors that you can install around that. Okay, let me start with a very quick scenario in here, something simple, and that is, right, I'm looking through some data. It could be customer data, it could be opportunities, could be leads. In this case, it happens to be invoices. And in invoices here, what is interesting is, do we have some problems, right? What am I looking for? inside of here. And so what I have is, if I click on just anywhere in here, on this little sidebar, I have something that says, let's check our zip codes or postal codes and see how we are for accuracy. And so right now it's gone out, and this one, you can see I've configured this one with Google's Gemini for the API, but it's saying most of them are pretty good, except for this one, right? Of these 100 records that I just submitted through here, only one of them has has really any issues, and it's going through all the things that it has done there as well. So I wanted to start you with just a really simple example, right? Is using AI to take your business data and improve upon it, right? Making sure that it is accurate, that it using the great resources that are there to make sure that when you're promoting using those, sending something to that address, that it's actually going to get there. For example, it could be the same kind of thing with emails, right? Like let's run something to take a look and see if our emails are actually in an accurate format or stuff like that. Okay, but let me take you into some other scenarios here, because this is where I think it starts making you think just a little bit. So right now, I've gone back to Business Central for some sales transactions inside of here. And instead of doing a postal code, I'm going to really switch it up. I want to do something where I'm actually going to ask, what day of the week do we sell the greatest amount of product? So what this is doing now is it's taking everything I have over here. It's telling me, of these 100 records, which is what I've submitted, it's sending this to here, and it's now asking what, which of the days of the week are we selling the most on? So one of the nice things, right, is without knowing from 2023 that 9/30 was a Saturday, I can see that that's one of our top days inside of here. But this is where it gets interesting, right? Right now, these are called tone modifiers. I'm coming in as an accountant, right? I've said that this is an accountant, and so this is what I'm getting is really factual information. It's telling me what they used to pull all of that, where we might have some bias, or again telling us that this is only limited data. So here's one really powerful thing inside of here is it's telling us, well, I wasn't sure this has orders and invoices in here. Did you want both of them? And so I can now chat with this and go, just invoices. And then I'll roll everything up by day. So now we're able to interact with that even a bit further. And now we have some different numbers in there because it's just the invoices that are in there. But let's turn this around, right? Let's say, okay, that's awesome. This is valuable information, but now I want to do something with this. If we know that, Saturdays or Wednesdays are our top days, let's do something about that. So let's switch the role for a second. What if I want to switch this to more of a marketing role? And what if I want to say, instead of just some valuable sales information, what if I want to now build a marketing plan around this? So and I'll just say, I don't know, a $30,000 budget. So now what we've done, we've totally changed what we're doing here, right? We started with some information, and now it's going to be based on this. Here's our summary, and now I'm totally changing this up. I'm going to say, okay, great, here we go. Now here's a plan to actually market more to, how do we tackle our dominance on Wednesdays, and what is the plan? So this is where I think you can start making this very interesting, because you can take it to the next level, and it doesn't have to just be an analysis of the data. It's now action of what you can do. This is what we've been saying all along, right? Sometimes the action is updating it inside of SmartConnect or DataBlend. Sometimes the action is something entirely different. I'm going to give you one more scenario, just stepping outside of maybe where we've spent traditionally a lot of time, right, on the accounting side of things, but getting into the real world when we have help desk scenarios, right? When we have support we need to give to people. And one of the things that's really cool that Popdock does, we do this a lot, we embed the information. So on a help desk system, and I'm using Zendesk in my example, but we're able to embed that inside of a CRM system. So we have a whole group of people, maybe salespeople or account managers, that have visibility into other areas that they can now see that information without necessarily being part of a help desk system. So while that's really awesome, right? And again, just to give you an example here, if I click on comments, I can see that this ticket, as it's loading up, has a lot of comments on this. So that's awesome that we can give a salesperson that visibility. But here's the next level of that. Ooh, where did that go? There we go. Let me get the ticket back I want to show you. Okay, there you go, back to this ticket. I now have this little summary button on here. And so what it's doing is it's taking this record, but not this record, it's taking all the related comment information. And I've asked it, I said, can you give me a summary of all of those comments in there? Can you just tell me when this started, when it ended, what was the fix, what was the resolution for it, and how many interactions it took? And so this is, I think, that next level is that we can now start seeing at a quick glance, instead of reading through 100 comments, or how many was there? 80, oh, 2 interactions, I guess. I think there's like 80 some comments in that particular thread. But now I have that information at a glance. And this is where you could also do some interesting things going, what do we think, is the customer happy at this point in time, or are they really angry? Are they planning on leaving us? That's where I think you start having the power of taking that information and really using it to take action on and go, okay, what if we're able to give this customer a little something to make them happier, and again, not not leave us as a customer. So those are the things I think are next level. And again, this is another scenario, but what if I took this, what if I found this resolution, right? After 80 some interactions, what if we found the resolution, and what if it was, and again, we're from the software world, but what if it actually had actionable items to say, this is how this should be solved in the future? Well, again, you could change that role and say, hey, I actually want this to be a technical writer, and I want to turn this into a knowledge base article. And so now you're taking real data, you're actually providing something, and I can say that in a technical writer tone, write a KB article that says, here was the problem, and here are the steps we took to fix it. And then now you have everything you need to post that on your website as something that can be a fix. So I have been talking for quite a while now. I wanted to inspire you to, I guess, think about AI a little bit differently, because what we're able to provide you now is a way of getting into that, and maybe it's around forecasting, or maybe it's data quality, or one of the examples that we're working on is searching for fraud in accounting transactions, right? Those are the things that are like really starting to get powerful, that we're now allowing you to do right inside of Popdock, and do some pretty amazing things going forward. So I have one more announcement, and then I'll pass over for the SmartConnect side of things. This is a pretty exciting one. Query Builder for Dynamics 365 Business Central has been just awesome, right? To allow people to build those optimized read-only queries without having to write any AL at all. And it's a really powerful area of it, but it has been, in this new year here, it has been an add-on feature in the business space, or I should say, sorry, in a business subscription. And so what we've just announced that starting next week, we're actually going to include that in the business edition without it being an add-on feature. So this is exciting. I think, again, it'll help you deliver to your customers that they're going to get the Query Builder. And right now, today, the Query Builder is just for Business Central, and well, it's for a few other things as well, like Azure Synapse, which is a premium feature. But we are going to start over the next year. We're going to start bringing more Query Builder experiences to additional connectors, and so I think that's really exciting that we're making this available right to that business edition without needing the add-on, the $100 a month add-on that we had. So that's one thing. I just want to leave you with a nice little tidbit there that you can bring back to your customers. And with that, I'll pass it back to, I think, Martin, you're doing the SmartConnect.
Certainly am. Thanks, Chris. Yeah, and so exciting stuff there. It's early days for us, but I think the key that I want you to take away from what Chris showed is Popdock's ability to provide data for the AI needs that you have. So as your customers start getting into AI, an easy answer for you is, hey, we've got a tool that will present that ERP data or other business system data and make it available to the AI engine or the AI need that you have. And that's really where I say eOne being a key part of the AI story for you as a partner. When somebody comes to you and says, hey, I've got this BC data, NetSuite data, Intake data, but we need to consume that inside our AI. Now, AI developers don't want to have to write code that understands ERPs. That's what you do, that's what we do. And we can present that data to them to work with those AIs, and that's pretty exciting. Now, all of that's going to flow through to SmartConnect as well. And we're working really hard on SmartConnect. I know a lot of you have had SmartConnect for many, many years. And so we're on a big journey to have listened to our customers, to listen to our partners, and to make a lot of the improvements that you've asked for. So speed, efficiency, performance, and that's speed around using the product. When you're building integrations, it's speed on the processing of transactions, all flowing through into a new solution. So that's going to be released later this year. I'm expecting in the fall, and we'll have this new update. But I want to run through a few things in there that are involved in this. So let's jump to the slides. So the first one here, as you'll see on the right-hand side, is context-sensitive help through SmartConnect. Just like you'll have seen in Popdock, where we've included help and that inside the product. So when you're building a screen, you're working on this screen, you're like, hey, I don't know where to get the server address from. Context-sensitive help's going to pop it up on the right-hand side. So that's going to be great. You'll also notice something else on here. If you look closely next to the processes menu on the left, there's a small number 2. Now what that's doing is telling you that there are 2 processes connected or linked to this connector. So previously you would build a connector and a map and a process all in one, but now we've split those out. So we can say, pull up this connector and show me how many data sources and how many processes are connected to it. So here we've got 2 processes and no data sources. So we're only using the Microsoft SQL Server connector in 2 processes. But when we make a change to that, we can then see exactly which processes are going to be affected by any change we make to our connector. So a really cool thing there. You know, the old way was to spend 15, 30 minutes checking all possible sources and connections when you made a change to go, hey, what is this change going to affect? We're bringing that all into one screen. Which is great. Now we're also supporting more connection types on connections. So MySQL, PostgreSQL, Dynamics GP as a data source in SmartConnect.com, also supporting Dropbox and Google Drive, which you saw Chris talk about in the previous one. So they're the key things we're covering and adding those connections. But the biggest focus is on speed and performance. Another change on the connection is the metadata. So previously, we used to store all that metadata about a connection and all the fields. So it's really reading the API and pulling all that data together, and we'd store it in the database, but we're moving it now to a centralized blob storage, and that'll make more sense for those that are technical. It's going to be faster, more efficient, and it's going to be less memory heavy. For anybody that's seen SmartConnect slow down because it's loading all that information in the background, starts using up memory on the machine you're using, we're going to clear that up, and that's going to make things run significantly faster. That cache data, used to be used on the schedule server, was used on the client server, and was used on the API server. So we were storing it 3 times. And when we made a change to one of those, we had to check that it was then synced across all 3 of those environments. Having a centralized environment takes that away, improves the speed of updates, improves consistency, and again, frees up memory to make it faster. So for those of you that are deep SmartConnect users, you'll remember if you're working on a mapping screen and then suddenly you realize you had to go back and make a change to a connection, that flow from the changes you made to the connector didn't flow down to what you're doing on the mapping screen. You would then have to close what you're doing, run a refresh to flow down all that information, and that's because we were storing it in different places. So really opening the kimono here and pointing out some of the things that weren't perfect around our product, but we've listened and we're making those changes to make them significantly better. So on this screen here, one of the things to point out is that all data sources now, no matter where it's come from, is going to enable us to determine the columns we will include and not include. It was a little bit of a hodgepodge previously where some connectors allowed it and some connectors did not. The importance of this is, again, it gives you control over what will be used and returned, which makes everything faster. You also have complete control over the display name here. So if you've got a field that just doesn't make sense to anybody, you can go and give your own display name and then choose what flows through. Let's jump to the next slide. Another key thing here is that all of the select statements on those connectors that support select statements are going to be visible. So you can see exactly what is happening behind the scenes. So this one is built with the query builder, but right on this screen without having to go anywhere else, we can see exactly what's being returned or what the select statement is. So we don't have to jump back to go, hey, what did we pull into this data source and go back to query builder, have a look at that and come back. We can see exactly how it's done it. Now that means these windows are going to run at least 5 times faster than they were before. So the usability in here is going to be quicker because it reduces the clutter, reduces memory usage, and will in turn not only help these screens, but it will help the runtime performance of integrations. Okay, we're going to jump to the next slide as well. This screen gives us direct access to every line, every tenant, every additional column, every task, every variable, all in one place. So we don't have to jump around for all the tabs. For those that have used SmartConnect before, you'll know there was many tabs and you'd click through those. You would have to go to additional columns and sort through there. Now it's all complete drag and drop in here to determine those things and determine which order. So on the left-hand side, if we go to additional columns for this map, you can then drag and drop those to determine the order in which they'll run in, which streamlines that process for users. I'm really excited about that. The other key thing in here, you'll notice if you look at the top sort of breadcrumb, it's home, processes, and draft edit. We're adding that concept of a SmartConnect draft, so you can come in and make changes to a map and you do not have to complete the entire map. For those that are on old SmartConnect, where you would build a data source, you'd build a destination, you'd map fields, until you had all the components filled in, it wasn't going to let you save it. So now we can do that in a draft format, and there's auto save functions in here that will auto save to that draft, so you do not lose any of the design you've done. So you can be partway through, save it and use it and save an incomplete integration. If we jump to the next one, really this is an audit check to say, hey, you're not complete. So it's going to highlight for you that you'd saved that draft, and here's the things that you need to complete before this would be available to be promoted to production. And so that process of building an integration, having it as a draft, and then promoting it to production is key. We've also added audit trail. So a full audit trail of every change that you make to a map. Many times, we'll take a support call and we look, the map ran yesterday and it doesn't run today. And somebody says, hey, who changed things? And nobody knows, nobody touched it, nobody opened those screens. Now you can turn on a full audit trail of changes, which makes your customers more self-sufficient because they know what happened yesterday. It makes you as a partner more self-sufficient because you can track what happened to that integration yesterday, and then it makes our support team smarter as they run through that. So yeah, that's a fantastic one. If we jump to the next one, which is really coming back to a unified setup screen, which simplifies all system settings and the use of global variables. Fields in here are editable inline, so you don't have to jump again through tabs and open little data entry screens. Really, grid line editing for a lot of this is going to be great. And on the technical side, we've moved off the back-end technology of NHibernate, and we're using a tool called Dapper. Now, what that means for using the SmartConnect screens is things are going to run 10 to 20 times faster. And that's the access to the database layer. So again, a significant improvement for what's going on there. So really, I wanted you to see that there's a lot going on in the back here of SmartConnect. We're making it, SmartConnect's a 15-year-old, probably more, 17-year-old product. And so this is a massive leap forward for us to take some of the old technology out, get it ready to adopt some of the AI stuff that Chris showed you, and we're bringing that AI into the SmartConnect product. So really excited. So the big underlying changes for those that are technical in the background is that we're getting rid of that NHibernate tool and moving to Dapper. We're removing the Angular JS platform and going to a React model, which is going to be much faster. And then getting to .NET Core, which is essential for where we're heading with SmartConnect. So really excited for that. And it's just going to make life faster. Everything's going to be faster. Your integrations will be faster. The build time will be faster. One of the other changes we made, we'll jump to the next slide here. Let's jump over that one. Let's go to the next one. Is a connection with a thing we're changing in SmartConnect is that the templates and the pre-built maps will become available online, basically in a marketplace. So from within app, you'll be able to load up a template to get you started with the map you're trying to build. So let's say you're doing a GP to Concur and you don't want to build it from scratch. We want to give you a really good template. If you're doing Magento to NetSuite, we want to give you a template to start. That will all be loading directly from within the application. So releasing this week, you can see here, I don't need to read through them all, but we've got some GP migration templates. And that's to help our partners that are taking customers to say BC to Business Central and or NetSuite, and we're going to keep expanding on that. So there'll also be a GP to Intact solution that will be coming on the DataBlend side, as you met Ethan earlier. And we've got a whole lot of these coming that are being tested, that are in progress. And so I want your feedback as a partner. I want you to talk to your PDM or come to me directly. You all know martin.olson@eonesolutions.com and tell me what templates you need. We're excited to share those with you and continue to build more templates to make rolling out integrations even faster. All right, I think that's the SmartConnect update. And I'll hand back to Katie.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody. I'm just going to punch through a few more slides super quick, but just want to make sure you're aware of a couple things coming up. And just in terms of events, what we're looking forward to and how you can learn about some of the topics today. So just giving you a look ahead, I feel like we just finished conference season here for the spring, and certainly the summer, there's a few things going on, but here are the conferences we're investing in going into the fall. We'll be at Suite World, we'll be at Community Summit, which is a Dynamics user conference, and Directions EMEA, which is a big partner event for the Dynamics 365 Business Central channel. So really looking forward to those events and connecting with you in person there. We have a couple learning opportunities I want to highlight. We just finished up our Fargo Integration Roadshow. We are delivering integration roadshows as an opportunity for sales and solution architects and pre-sales consultants to get deep into some of the ways they can position integration, identify opportunities, and just really improve their sales cycle so that they can win more deals. The Fargo group was a lot of fun. I see a couple people on the call here today that joined us. The next one that we will be hosting is in Boston in September, mid-September, and we have really about a day and a half of learning, and we try to make sure people can travel in, travel out the next day so they don't miss too much time on the job. But we learn a lot in those 2 days. It's really interactive. And then we also do something fun in the evening together. And at the Boston event, we're going to take everybody to a Boston Red Sox game at Fenway Park, which is going to be super cool. So we have a number of people signed up already. So if you're interested or want to travel in for that, I'd say go ahead and register. Greylock was gracious enough to host us at their location. So we thank them, and it's going to be a great event. So go ahead and take a look at that if you are in one of those positions or are in a scenario where you're working with existing customers and want to learn how to sell more integration projects. So lots of opportunity. We talked about the DataBlend acquisition here today. We're super excited about the growth and expansion of the team. Really, really good group of people coming together to drive more innovation for you. We encourage you to learn more about DataBlend. So we do have this upcoming webinar. We'll include the registration link in the follow-up, but on this webinar, Ethan Carlson, who you met today, excuse me, will dive into some real life use cases for how they use DataBlend in some practical scenarios, and it's applicable, and they really focus a lot on the office of the CFO. So encourage you to register for that. As far as some other learning opportunities this summer, here are some of the upcoming webinars. We have a number of good ones around Business Central topics, around reporting on dimensions in Business Central, connecting and integrating with on-premise, and then really diving into that topic around Query Builder. So we announced today that next week we'll be including Query Builder for Business Central in our business plan. It won't, no longer will we charge you an add-on. You get access to that in the business level of Popdock. So it's a great tool, helps you write those queries faster, but you don't have to use any code, and the tool just produces the code for you. So encourage you to check out those webinars that are coming up this summer. And then finally, we're doing a lot of training through our technical boot camps. So this is a quick list, but we're going deep on integrating with Business Central, how to work with APIs and integrating with them, as well as NetSuite. And we do have some good self-training options that consolidate some of our boot camp topics, and you can go through them at your own pace. So that's what we have for education. I know we had a couple questions come up, so I want to just cover those real quick, and then we'll wrap up. So, all right, so jumping into the questions, one of the ones that came up when we were talking about AI is, do we have a connector for Copilot? Microsoft is talking a lot about Copilot. So, Chris, I want to throw that over to you, because you did feature the Azure AI as a connector when you showed the Popdock AI connectors.
Yeah, two parts to that. So Azure AI is one thing on Microsoft that you have a lot of control over. So we didn't talk a lot about security today, but that is really a big concern for everyone. As if you are looking at sending, some of your data, you want to be making sure that you are using one of the paid accounts. I think is a first and foremost kind of thing, right? Is usually there's some kind of agreement that says, we won't use your data. So I wouldn't be sending anything to those free accounts that may be using your data to train their models. So that's the first thing. But again, for a lot of people that are looking at with those kinds of concerns, many are looking to more of a private AI, hosted in Azure. So Azure AI is a big one. Microsoft's Copilot really utilizes OpenAI or ChatGPT in the background. And so what we've done, instead of use their interface, we're using the engine behind it to serve up that data. So that's really why I guess we don't have Copilot in there, because we have the same stuff that Copilot can serve up right with what we have in OpenAI.
Awesome, thank you. Another question that came up here, and I'll throw this one over to Martin, is, I'm a partner of eOne. Can I sell DataBlend?
Answer is yes. Very simple. Yeah, we will make sure that happens. We are one company now. So a partner of eOne's really is a partner of DataBlend and vice versa. We want to make that as simple as possible. And we're actually going to come out with a unified partner agreement that covers the products and a unified EULA. It's going to take us a little bit through legal, and so that will fit across all of our products. So that's something that's coming down the pipe for our partners. But yeah, that's the intention. We wanted to bring this to our partners, not make it a hurdle. So yeah, contact your PDM and we'll get you hooked up.
Awesome. I know we're past the end of the hour and we want to respect everybody's time. So I just want to thank you on behalf of the eOne team for taking time out of your day to join us here for the Q2 2025 Partner All Hands call. We'll look to send out the deck, the recording, if you'd like to share that with team members. And if you have more questions, we encourage you to engage with our team. It could be Martin, it could be your partner development manager, it could be just filling out a form on our site, but we look forward to connecting with you more in detail and helping partnering with you to grow some business together here going into the second half of the year. So thanks again and have a great rest of your day.